This is video number 4 on the 1993 Pachinko machine. I want to talk a little bit about opening up the machine in case you need to actually get inside. If you're having problems, you need to clear something out or see if something is malfunctioning. I'll show you what it takes to get inside. Everything has to be done from the back, with the rare exception that you can actually drain the balls out of the top tray from the front if you insert a small piece of wire in this hole, but it's still best done from the back. You will need access to the back to do anything. So let's take a look at the back here for a second. So to work on the back, the general idea is that you probably need to clear all the balls out of the system first. And so there are 2 steps necessary to do that. Well, 3 possibly. You need to clear all the balls out of the front of the machine, which you can do with the lever that drains the trays out, the 2 different levers. Now to get all the balls out of the feed mechanism for the payout unit, you have to flip this little tab up, and it will drain all the balls out of the feed for the payout unit into the tray down at the bottom. So we'll do that, and down they go. That's the first step, and that's the easy part. Now, the next step is that you have to get all the balls out of the actual payout unit itself. And as far as I know, the only method for doing that is to activate the payout units by hand. So you have these 2 dogs here that you need to pull up on one at a time, and they will only feed out 1 measured unit of balls per pull, so you can't just hold them up. So you push up, and it does a payout. Do that again. Keep doing it until there's nothing to pay out. Then we'll do the other one. This is the 7, that was the 15. All right, that drains all the balls out of the payout unit into the front of the machine now. So we will take our rejected tray off. Now to open the glass and frame on the front, you pull down on this lever here, and that will pop the latch on the front glass. The key, if you happen to have the key, allows you to slide an entire mechanism that causes this tab and this tab to rise up, which allows the entire machine to pivot out of the frame. That's okay for some jobs, although for the most part, I find it's easier to just work on the machine in the frame as it is. What I'm going to do is swing the machine back around and show you basically how to get out things on the front first. So I've released the latch for that. We have the top tray, which is full of balls, so I'll empty those out. Okay, now there's a very cleverly concealed latch right here that releases this door. So you push down on that and you can pull this entire door assembly open. Now there still might be balls inside the machine, and they would be right here in this unit, which is activated by simply pushing up on that, and it dispenses 1 ball at a time. This unit will handle like 4 or 5 individual balls, so get those out of the way. Okay, that is what you can get to with little effort, just opening the machine in case you have a ball that's jammed between the pegs or somehow is sitting where it shouldn't be sitting or stuck. Any ball that lands in the wrong place should go down into either this hole, which will send it down to this bottom tray as a missed shot ball, or it should go in here, which is the gutter, which also will go to the catch tray in the back. It's possible that balls will land in some other places, but if they do, they should always end up in one of the properly designated discharge places. So Let me flip it around to the back and then show you what's going on the back. All right, so to do anything on the back, you do have access to some of the mechanisms, and they have a fairly simple latching mechanism with just can be done with your hands once you figure it out, or use a small screwdriver to pry on this little tab to release it. The same thing is true with this door down here behind the speaker wire. You pry on the little tab and you can pop this door open, which gives you access to the lower part of the payout mechanism. It's a fairly intricate process of having the balls that are going to be paid out drop into a chase where all of those balls accumulate, and then the balls go in here and go through the payout mechanism one at a time. There's one mechanism for the 7 and one for the 15, and so it ensures that any balls that go through the play field into one of these holes that should cause a payout will indeed get a payout. So and if the payout feed trays are empty, then it will also stop the game because it will detect that the payouts are not happening. So to take the machine apart further, you'll have to do a couple of things. There are 3 latches, one at the left top, one at the right top, and one down here underneath next to the plug for the shooter mechanism. You'll also need to push in the tab and remove this plug for the shooter mechanism, and that allows you to open up this back panel. Now you see that the back panel is still connected to the other assemblies by these big wire assemblies. So you will need to unplug each of these, and the good thing about them is that they're all different sizes, and so it's not easy, possible perhaps, but not easy to plug them into the wrong one, because each one is a specific size. And if I can do it with one hand, that disconnects all of those that go to this upper part. You also need to disconnect the 24-volt AC power, and if you're going to remove it, you'll need to disconnect the audio connector, which is this for the front speaker, and also the 24-volt main power coming from the transformer. Once you've done that, you can swing this fairly wide open, but it's still limited by the interference on the cabinet here, and this little tab is part of that, but this is as far open as you can get it. Now that does give you some access to some of the mechanism in here, so if you've got some balls that are stuck in part of the payout mechanism, you may be able to access them from there, but maybe not. So if you need to remove this entire assembly, for instance, if you need to work on any parts of the payout mechanism, or in the case of this machine, it had rusty balls stuck in the mechanism because it had been reassembled improperly, then what you'll have to do is lift this entire swinging assembly out. It has a hinge here and a hinge down here, and those simply allow you to grab the back panel and remove it. So we will just set that down, and that comes off completely. That's why it's important to have all the balls out, because otherwise you will have a huge mess of balls going everywhere. So this leaves you with the switches, lights, solenoids, LCD unit, any kind of special things like the claw mechanism and the little elevator are there. The rotary motorized switch is over here, but mostly this is lighting. So if you need to access the lighting, most of it can be done from the front, But some of these things, the lighting is fairly embedded through this plastic loom, so you may have to unloom the wires from these little uh, trays that wind back and forth, and then you can unscrew them from the front and replace them. Um, the plunger mechanism here is fairly complicated. It has a motor, some encoders in there, some switches, and there is processing in there of some limited capacity because all of that is translated into a single 2-pin plug. So that gives you some idea that there's a little bit of intelligence going on there. So what I will do is flip you around to the front and show you if you want to replace lights, what's entailed in that. Okay, some of the lights, like the lights behind these kinds of diffusers, are covered up, basically held in place by screws. This one's held in place by tape because I've been working on it. But you take the screws out and then you can pop off the diffuser. And of course, this one, the tape is coming apart, so it doesn't want to come off. Well, isn't that nice? And so then you just access the lights. The lights can be changed by pulling them out. These, as I mentioned before, are these very special small 28-volt grain of wheat bulbs that have legs bent over in this rubber socket. The rubber sockets are a specialty item that are apparently just for these machines. So if you lose them, you have to come up with another solution. And that is what I have done up here at the top. These are actually assemblies made out of um, a series of small surface mount LEDs that are all wired into a little assembly mounted on the back of a piece of frosted plexiglass with these connectors on here. It's all kind of a hodgepodge, but it actually does work and provides a very pleasing flash. Now this is a special lamp assembly and it just comes on during fever mode. So, and since I had to replace all of them, this was broken off and all of these were missing, then it made sense to do that. Now, if you're going to just replace some of the other bulbs, for instance, the bulbs in one of these spinners, then you take the small, very small screws out, which might be hard to do with one hand. Those are very small screws. Also be aware that these screws are easy to drop inside the mechanism. And so when you're taking them out, don't take them all the way out. Take them loose and then pull them out with your fingers very securely so you don't drop them. Make sure that the wiring on the back has been loosened enough and you can pull these out. You can see that we have 2 lights inside this assembly, and to get to them you have to take this screw out, remove the circuit board, and then you can change out the bulbs there. Then to do that, reverse it just to put it back in. So there are a lot of other lights that have to be changed out by removing a number of screws, like a great number of screws. These white circles don't have to be removed for changing out the bulbs, but there are a lot of bulbs behind these red translucent panels, bulbs behind each of these spinners, these parts. All of these things have bulbs in them that you may need to change out. So um, that's about it for what I can teach you about normal operation and maintenance. So I'm going to stop it there before I run out of memory.